Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Tech Leaders Unplugged. And this morning, we are once again getting unplugged now with our guest, Srini Siddiredy. He is the CEO and founder at SportsPlus, and he's going to tell us all about it. And then, of course, my fellow teammate and co-host, Wade Erickson from here. So thank you, gentlemen, for being here with us today. So,
Carlos and Wade and everybody.
Good to meet you, Srini.
thank you so much for being here, both of you. So let's start with you, Srini. So tell us a little bit about you, your background, where you come from, and then of course we're going to move on to the company. But tell us a little bit about you first, and then tell us about Sports Plus.
Sure. Hello, everyone. Tech Leaders. My name is Srini Siddiredy. I'm the founder and CEO of SportsPlus. Before starting SportsPlus, by education, I was an engineer. And then after that, I worked at various companies in various tech roles, mostly developing business applications. Then before starting SportsPlus, I was part of another startup which took on unplugging Craigslist. But by the website we started was Ads Globe, where we want to provide a much better service for the classifieds. But at the end, did not work out. So we have to close it, move on. And after a few years, in about 8-9 years ago, then I started SportsPlus. So at that time, I moved to the Bay Area and my kids were very active in sports. So I was really connected with sports and I was trying to see how my kids are performing. I was trying to see if there's an app where I can track their stats, their activities, their schedules and everything, but I couldn't find any. So as I was an engineer and I know how to develop these applications, I started developing one myself. Then I started slowly forming a team. Given my previous entrepreneurial connections, I was able to quickly form a team and get it going. At that time, I was working part-time, and after a few years, I figured, okay, this can be a real business. So that's when I moved full-time, and I started growing the team and growing the app and growing the business. So now here we are, SportsPlus, serving sports organizations to run all their operations. So it's a complete system, a communication engine, kind of a ERP, kind of a CRM. So all a sports organization will need, they'll get in SportsPlus to open their registration, collect payments, then form teams, then run leagues and tournaments, then open their shop, then also raise funds, then also their website and mobile app, everything will come out of the platform. They can also track used to tryouts and evaluations and player stats. And also all the teams get their team app inbuilt with the system, with the account. So it's an all-in-one platform to run all their sports operations in one platform, one account, where everything is connected and everybody's on the same page.
I see. Wow, Srini. Well, that's quite a journey. Building Sports Plus from the ground up. And from what you said, from what I'm hearing is that there is still a lot, to be implemented, and as the industry itself grows. But before we get into the nitty-gritty of the industry itself, tell us a little bit about the topic that you chose, okay? So for today's conversation, you chose emerging demand for specialized digital ecosystems, improving productivity with the right network and connections. So first question that I have for you, Srini, is why did you choose this particular topic and why did you feel it was relevant for today's day and age? Can you start there, please?
Sure. So as we are building SportsPlus and making it available for the sports organizations, so we realized that for especially sports, and this may apply to few other industries. Uh, for example, in youth sports, so if you or your children register and join a club, the actual value will be delivered when they play a game or a tournament or a league with another club or team of the another club. So the value is not delivered in the organization, but the value is actually delivered when the player, usually part of a team, and engages and participates in a game and plays a game that involves another team from another club or league. So here, especially in sports world, so there is a need for a lot of uh, intercommunication between the clubs. Right now, even until now, so most of the clubs, the way they do this is by making calls or sending emails. So very low tech way. So what we figured is there is to be a simple way for these clubs to communicate, so that they can make all these sporting events happen, like either leagues, tournaments, or even for example, even trading coaches or players, or even sharing the equipment, sharing the facilities, sharing other required material or data for sports happen, to make sports happen everywhere. So that's where we saw this need, and saw some demand where we need some kind of a tool or a channel where the sports staff can easily communicate, can easily publish a message, for example, to all other local sports clubs. Let's say all other baseball clubs, all other football clubs, and easy way they can broadcast a message very easily, and also at the same time they can have a secured communication once somebody is interested in certain post or event. So that's where we saw this need and demand for specialized digital ecosystems. We are applying this for sports, but I'm pretty confident the same can be applied in various other industries like travel, hospitals, restaurants. So where there's a need for these various organizations to work together and deliver services for their consumers.
Oh, I think you're on mute.
Yes, I'm sorry about that. So thank you so much, Srini. Wade, I understand that you have some questions about sport teams management tools. Do you want to go ahead and take the mic?
Yeah. So, in the beginning, you said it really kind of came out of a personal need with your children, and you started to kind of build your own trackers. I mean, obviously, this industry had websites and schedules and stuff that people would have to stitch those together. Maybe the coach had a friend that was a webmaster or something, and those are the early days, back in, when these started to pop up. And then, like you said, it was very localized. What kind of drove the feature set as you started to expand the platform to go beyond the individual team, then to the combined league maybe, and then I saw there's even features of governance and other kinds of very high level to bring the sophistication. And then also, how do you come to the market with that? Do you really target the clubs, the leagues, or does it you target individual teams and have them bubble it up? Tell me a little bit about how you market something like this.
Sure, good question. So my background, given that I'm from the tech background, I'm not from the sports industry. I don't have a lot of connections with the sports heavyweights. So I have to use my advantage, which is tech. So I have to build something that actually works and scales and works. So initially, what we started is at the player level. So what an athlete needs, we built various tools for an athlete. Then I realized that it's hard to market to athletes because they are underage and you can target in some ways, but they're very expensive, and also as a business there's not enough market. So then after implementing athlete management, then we added team management on top of that. So as various sports teams, they need an app for the communication, for access, for checking their other player details, and also for access their team schedules, roster, and all the team related stuff. So then we implemented a team management app. Then I realized that teams are seasonal, especially in youth sports. They come and play for 3 months, 6 months, and after that they will be gone. And next season, a completely new team will be in place. So from a business point of view, I realized this is not the greatest thing.
Yeah, not as sticky as you want. Yeah.
Yeah. So then after that, we started adding the organization management layer on top of it. So that way we grew the platform in an organic way, very natural way, where players, teams, then organization. So because organizations are kind of permanent, they last for at least a number of years. So we started building everything a sports organization might need. For example, how do they collect registrations? How do they collect payments? Then they need a website and they need a mobile app, right? So we started, we built the organization management layer. Then so we used digital marketing, where we spent a lot of time in making sure our website ranks on search engines, and also on social media. We put a lot of efforts to on the digital marketing. So that's that. Excuse me. That's how we acquire majority of our customers, where our customers find us on Google, Bing, and also sometimes on social media, and they come to us, and then we give a demo, and then if everything goes well, they become our paid customers. So then as customers come for a demo, and a lot of times because sports, sometimes there are number of sports, and also certain things are done very differently in each sport and also each region. So a lot of times these organizations, they come to us and ask, okay, I need it, do it this way. Can you guys provide this? So we collect most of the requirements from our customers before sales and after sales as they become our customers. So, and also given that sometimes some of the requirements may not fit our platform. So that's when we tell them that we can't do this because this won't fit our platform. So anything that fits our platform, so we implement it for our prospects, our customers. And sometimes what we do is some features may apply only to a specific set of customers, not for others. For example, some features may apply only for tennis, but not for soccer. So what we do is we make it a configurable, where so whoever wants it, they can enable that feature. Otherwise, others won't see it. So that way, we can have everything in one platform. At the same time, whoever wants it, they can only see those features. Whoever don't want it, they will not be overwhelmed with unnecessary features. So that's how we grew the platform, and also even now, so our platform we grew based on the customer requests.
Great. So can you share a little bit of the kind of the product road mapping process? Because obviously that went through like various stages: athlete, then team, then organization. Was that like over a compressed period where you learned these things very fast in the first year? Or did you take a couple of years to kind of keep building on top of your previous work and growing within the ecosystem, just expanding out to service a greater portion of that ecosystem?
Okay, so it normally takes years for us for each area. It's not that we follow agile development methodology, where we start small and we put out a small feature, and sometimes make it available to some or few of the customers, and then take their feedback. Then based on their feedback, we build it on top of that. So for us, for a feature to, we started quickly, but for the feature to be fully implemented and fully available with all aspects, it usually takes, depending on the feature, it takes time, anywhere from a month to 6 months, for example, because we don't want to do it in the old way, the waterfall model, where we don't want to come up with all the requirements and thinking that this is what customer wants. So that's why we start out small, knowing that the minimum basic things we know for sure, okay, this definitely a customer would need. Whatever is the minimum basic features functionality set, we'll go ahead and implement and make it available. And then based on the customer feedback, we build it on top of it.
So tell me a little bit about the internationalization. Are you just in the US for now, or are you looking to go into Europe and then multi-language? And how has that affected some of your planning for the product and expansion?
Yeah, so given we're a resource constrained startup, so we don't want to add a lot of overhead into the product development cycle, because having the internationalization or localization from the beginning, it's going to add a lot of overhead. So it will slow down overall product growth. That's why we decided just to focus on English speaking markets like US, UK, Canada, Australia, India. So again, we offer customization. For example, a sports organization can be called a club or a league or an academy or an association. It can be called anything. And also a game can be called a game or a match. So the team can be called a team or a group or depending on or a class. So basically in sports, there are certain things that different sports and different regions use in different ways, even though at the end they mean the same thing, but they use different words. So that's why we made it all optional or customizable. What do you want to call a game? You want to call a game or a match or a fight or a something else? So our customers, they can specify whatever they want to call it. So we have all that customization options inbuilt in the platform that supports all sports in all countries. But we did not implement the internalization or localization in the platform at this time, because that will slow down a lot. So now we are serving only the English-speaking countries. Later, at some point, maybe after rising next round of capital, maybe we'll take on the localization.
Srini, I have a question for you. I mean, you're talking about localization, and localizing alone comes with its own set of challenges, because there are components that are non-technical in nature. For example, the language barriers and the differences and the nuances and the cultural issues, all these things that could have a certain impact in adoption, right? So you also mentioned that for now you're only focused on English-speaking countries, but even then there might be things that could, I'm just saying it's a big if, right? I'm not saying that they are, but it's a big if. There could be hurdles, right? For example, let's say that we're talking about another English-speaking country, could be the UK or the England or Australia or whatever. But the sports themselves and the culture surrounding these sporting events is different, right? From one country to another. So are you planning on taking steps towards homogenizing precisely the platform and the tool, the app itself, so that it's going to work, regardless of whether you're going to be promoting it and promoting adoption?
Yes, in a way you're right. So you're on the point where it's correct that even within the US, for different sports, they do certain things very differently. For example, even starting with the collecting registrations, some sports they offer discounts for when multiple family members join. Right, some sports they want to, when they collect registrations, they want players to upload all their data, like date of birth certificate or school's ID or various other documents. And some sports they want to collect their digital signature. So even with the registration, so every organization is different, but especially in sports, organizations, they want to do business in many different ways as suits for their sport, for their region, for their compliance. So we have seen it all. So that's why our platform is highly customizable, where if you want to do in certain way, yes, you can achieve it by setting a certain configuration in a right way, and also by adding certain data. So however you want it. So the platform supports all that customization to achieve however you want to do it.
Great. Thank you so much, Srini. Okay, Wade, back to you.
Yeah, so I was thinking about the data collection here. So, obviously you talked early on, you were concerned about stats and, points scored, who scored them, who passed the ball to get the, assist credits and all that. What do you, architecturally and technologically, how do you collect those stats? Is it all manually entered from some game tracker person, or do you have other devices that you've actually integrated with through APIs that maybe could actually be storing it live and passing that data up in real time into the system? Tell me a little bit about integrations.
Oh, excellent question. So right now we have it. What we have it is the manual process where after a game, a coach would come and enter for each player and also for the game, what the game scores, and also recap, and also who is the MVP, and also various stats for the game based on that game. So, for example, how many goals scored, how many assists, or how many kilometers miles somebody ran. Our system allows for each organization to configure whatever metrics they want to capture for a game and for a practice or in general. So, for a game, let's say you are a baseball organization, then for baseball, you want to capture certain metrics like if it's a pitcher, like number of balls pitched in a game and strikeouts, right? And if it is a runner, right? So whatever is, if it is a hitter, whatever is the hitter stats you want to capture. So SportsPlus allows to configure all these metrics for each organization, however and whatever they want to capture. So there's a highly customizable option there, which organizations use to customize whatever they want to capture. So this process is all manual process after a game, or even if they're running tryouts. After a tryout, they can go and enter various stats for the tryouts, for all the players registered for the tryouts. So all that is customizable, and it is done manually now, right? So that's one part. So later on, we have plans to integrate with certain devices. Again, there are two types of devices. One is very generic device that is generally used for fitness, like number of steps or distance ran or heartbeat and various other things. These are general fitness devices. So there are so many of them, 20 plus. So some of them as APIs. And also there are some companies, they provide a common API that connects all these devices. So later we have plans to integrate these third-party services that allows any player with any device connect, and then their stats will be transferred into the system. So that is for general purpose stats. Then there are sport specific stats. So again, this area is not mature, and for each sport there are a few companies that provide the wearable devices that tracks various stats for that sport. And so I see that there's some little bit movement in that space, but that space is still wide open and still stabilizing, and players are coming and going. But once that space where players stabilize and somebody comes with a good API and all those things, we are planning to integrate the sport specific tracker devices with SportsPlus. At that point, all those data from those tracking devices will be directly synced with the SportsPlus account, and they can see all the charts and all the various performance metrics, everything just within the SportsPlus as well. So to answer your question, so right now what we have is highly customizable manual entry process, but as probably first quarter of 2024, we're going to start integrating with these devices that are available in the market.
Great. I just have one last question. So we talked a little bit about this being your second, venture that you've launched. What were probably some of the highlights of the difference between the first venture and the second venture that you learned in that process, that you could maybe share with the audience as a lesson learned?
Sure. So my first venture is something like, how to put it? So we don't know a lot of things. We don't know what works. We don't know what doesn't work. So we went in and started doing something. And in the process, it's like my bachelor's degree where we did a lot of things on what works, what doesn't work, when it is not working, why it's not working, and also what is important in the beginning, what is important in the mid cycle of a product. And so there's so many things that it's hard to learn outside without making your hands dirty. So given that even me and my co-founder in the first venture, we both are fresh and first time, so we don't know a lot of these things. So it's even though it was frustrating and we lost money and all those things, at the end we couldn't have had that kind of education from any other institution. So it is well worth it, even though we went through pain points. But at the end, we learned a lot, and then of course that helped us to for my second startup now. So yeah, so it's always these things are never ending. Even when you learn something, things always change. So it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So always one has to open to seeing everything and learning at every stage of the company. But nothing is easy. So obviously startups are very hard, and most of them will fail. So once those succeed, that's where the real joy is. And as a founder, you'll have to succeed only in one, right? To realize to the benefits and everything. So you can fail in 5, but if you succeed in 1, that will bring a lot of joy and wealth and everything. So that's what my thinking is. Yeah. So even if it fails, I'm going to start the next one. So having that mindset and always open to new ideas, and always open to the idea that something could fail. So that's what kept me going. And even the first one doesn't deter me. So now we are here, and obviously there's a lot more to learn, a lot more to achieve. But the lessons, basically, I would leave it, if you have to say in one word, the lessons learned, that's very valuable. And I have used many of them in my second startup.
So the bottom line is, get started, maybe start a little smaller. Don't try to go take on Uber your first go around, and expect to learn a lot along the way. But the best thing is to just get started, because you can read a lot of books, but once you do it, that's when the real nuances are felt. So yeah.
That's correct.
All right, Carlos, I think we're getting close to the top of the hour.
Indeed, Wade. And unfortunately, we're coming up on time, right? But before we go, I'd like to make just a quick announcement of what's coming. That's going to be tomorrow, actually. Tomorrow, right here on Tech Leaders Unplugged, we are going to be speaking with James Hamed, the founder and CEO of Vistim Labs. The topic is going to be successfully launching AI in medicine, patient protection, and clinical excellence. So that's what we have for tomorrow right here on Tech Leaders Unplugged at 9:30 a.m. Pacific. Don't forget to join us. And then, of course, last but not least, a big thank you to our guest, Srini Siddiredy, and of course, Wade, as ever. So see you next time right here on Tech Leaders Unplugged.
It's really, I had a really nice time talking to you both, Wade and Carlos.
We appreciate your time, for sure.
Thank you so much.
We'll be in touch. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day, and see you all tomorrow right here on Tech Leaders Unplugged. Thank you.